What's up, world? Sitting here with Mason.
Yeah, we waiting for her. Get that. But you need to sit down and come in.
Okay.
My fault, I'm messing your video up.
Good, not good. I'm saying good. Are we live?
I'm doing large here.
Sitting here with Mason L.
Hey, what's up, guys?
The Rude Awakening. The Rude Awakening.
The Rude Awakening.
So we're gonna kick this off live in 2018, right?
Yes, sir.
So I'm gonna ask you a couple questions if you don't mind.
Oh, yeah.
The first question is.
So we give it a few minutes.
Okay. We're gonna relax a little bit.
Relax a little bit.
Let the beat ride. Just let the beat ride.
Man, you already know. That was a powerful song, man.
We'll remix that.
We're gonna be alright, though. Oh, I'm ready. You know I'm ready.
We live, world.
The Rude Awakening.
Rude Awakening. Mason L. Alright, we're gonna jump into it like this. So my first question is, what's up with that music, man?
For the music, you know, I still be entertaining the music to a large degree, but for the most part, you know, like when I first came home, I was committed to trying to infiltrate the minds of the people through the medium that they used to.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And so, in other words, I couldn't come out speaking koala to grizzly bears. You see what I'm saying? I had to speak the language of the people.
Right.
And so that's what I did.
Right.
You know, and so as far as the music was to me, if you watch any of them early recordings, at the shop, I would always say it's more than music.
Okay.
It's a movement.
Right.
Because my intentions from the beginning was to snatch the people and deliver them up into a higher level of knowledge.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And so it was a catalyst.
Okay.
And so I just wanted to be able to tie into the people's minds where they at, reach them, and I did that.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Because everybody matters. All our people matter.
Right.
You see, so some people may think that the brothers that's out there doing what they do to try to survive, they don't matter. The sisters that's out there losing in life based on who they associate themselves with as a man, they matter too.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
Because I'll tell you this, when a female chooses to date a brother that's affiliated in the streets or in certain activities, then she the first one to benefit or suffer from his decision.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? They all matter.
Okay.
And so I had to reach the people.
Okay.
And that's what I chose to do, reach the people.
So what's your style of music though? I'm saying, what would you label it as?
Real. My style of music is real.
Okay.
You know, but as far as the music is concerned, I'm to the point now where the music is almost irrelevant to me. Because my true passion is speaking to the people. You know what I mean? Because when I suffered inside of that human warehouse, all I did was study, cross-reference, research.
Okay.
And so I knew that Allah was delivering me up to a higher purpose.
Okay.
You know, when He gifts you with certain gifts, the ability to retain information, recite information, recall information, then I thought it was to be a rapper. You know, but those same gifts could be used in a higher calling and a higher mission.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So it took a little time for me to understand that no, that's not what He wants you to do.
Mm-hmm.
What He wants you to do is be a voice of the people.
Okay.
And so the only thing that I do, I just speak the thoughts. I speak the concerns, the cares of those who don't have the words to necessarily put it in a way where not only our counterparts understand, but the powers that be understand.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
And so the music to me, I'm ready to have a microphone retirement party.
I got one more question about the music. I and a lot of people also hear you reference yourself as the God.
Right.
Break that down. You know, what does that mean?
Well, the thing about the term God, a lot of people, they misunderstand what that word means because they've been taught by who they were fought by.
Okay.
They learned by who our ancestors was burned by, and the people that didn't treat you right, they're not going to teach you right.
Yeah.
And before I get into the God term, let me first say this. The 5% nation of gods and earth, when I was locked up in California, it was a lot of them, and they gave me that attribute. We don't consider it a name, we consider it an attribute. Europeans have names. We carry titles of nobility or attributes. And the attribute, D-I-S-N, D-A-G-O-D, is actually an acronym for dichotomy infused since nativity, delivering a gnosis of God or divinity. And so the whole title in itself has nothing to do with, I'm not saying that God in the heavens, no, that's the creator. That's the big G.
Yeah.
That's that capital G-O-D.
Right.
I'm a lowercase G-O-D, but it's no different than what Prophet Issa ibn Maryam, who we know as Jesus, he said the same thing in the book of John 10, verse 34. He said that ye are all gods. I mean, they got to do their research. You know, they got the book closed and their eyes open on the wrong thing. King David, Prophet David said the same thing in Psalms 82:6. Ye are all gods, children of the Most High God. And so when I say God, it's not to omit the woman, because she's a goddess. You see what I mean? But we have to understand who we are.
Right.
And when you're dealing with etymology, the word God in itself is not a noun. It's what's known as a verb transitive. So for example, if I'm doing an act of charity, I'm considered guiding. If I'm praying, that's considered guiding. Any act of spirituality is considered guiding. So in reality, God is not a being, it's a doing. You see, and so with that being said, you know, the hardest thing for me to do when I first came home, what I figured out, rather than be condescending, because I couldn't even conversate with people when I came home, because the mindsets of the people have been victimized by this bureaucratic debauchery box called society. And so rather than be condescending, I just dumbed myself down. But I've told myself over this last couple years transitioning back into this battlefield called society that I'm done dumbing my conversation down. Either a person can understand what I'm saying and where I'm coming from, or they can't. You know, the people that I'm mainly speaking to and got the power to change situations, they know exactly where I'm coming from. I got my brothers and my sisters that's dealing with dilemmas and hardships on my back. You see what I'm saying? So I'll speak. Okay. You know, and so the God is just something that's been misunderstood, you know?
Okay, now my next question is, being locked up.
Right.
How long, and when you was locked up, all the things that was going on in the world, the Mike Browns and all the killings,
right.
You know, how did that make you feel?
Well, I was locked up for 13 years. I did 13 calendars in that human warehouse. And you know, sometimes life's greatest blessings come through its hardest lessons. You see, that's what I had to realize, because molecularly, when you're dealing with cell structures, life begins in a cell. And see, sometimes on a physical level, life begins in a cell. See, you can't destroy everybody by putting them inside of that tomb or that cell. Right. Some people come alive in that situation.
Right.
You know, and so during that time in prison, I became a more what I call autodidactic, self-taught, just studying, researching, cross-referencing, and now I see the benefit of it because I'm a walking website. And so I got teenage daughters, and they're very intelligent.
Yeah.
My son is very intelligent.
Yeah.
And so to my benefit, the search engine that's become commonplace for people, I've been able to just tell them to Google what I say. Go Google it. See, I didn't have Google in prison. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. But I study, so now I'm a walking website, and I got the benefit of telling the person to go Google it. If you don't believe the truth that I'm gonna present week after week after week after week, go Google it. Wow. You see, because I came to the point where I'm gonna give people uncut truth. And this caused me a lot of problems inside of the Federal Bureau of Prisons. You know, I've been locked up in the hole and everything just for teaching, because they fear the truth.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And so I'd rather give you uncut truth because I want you to OD on truth rather than continue getting high on these lies. You know, a society that's built on lies, truth becomes a weapon. You know, and so you asked about Mike Brown. I was on the top of a mountain at Herline, California, locked up when that Mike Brown decision came out. And I ain't even gonna lie, man, it hurt me so bad because I was so engaged into that situation because to me, he carried, or that situation carried, a lot of voiceless souls. You know, when I heard about Mike Brown, first thing it made me think about was my friend, Chucky Green. You know, because Chucky Green, see, long before people was televising stuff or it became an issue where other people in different cities to stand up for what the next person going through, my partner Chucky Green, he up there at Fast Eddie's Chicken, and a European cop want to hop on the hood of his car over some minor warrant, and then when Chucky put the car in reverse or whatsoever, the European up his pistol and shoot Chucky in front of his girl and his child. You see what I'm saying? So I was committed for a lot of reasons. You know, and when the verdict came out not guilty, you know, I was just, I was hurt. Yeah. I went in myself, I cried like that was my son. Yeah. You know, but I knew then that I got to get out here and get on this battlefield, you know what I mean, and get to speaking truth to power, right. Speaking against the injustices, etc., that our people going through daily, from one end of the country to the next. Yeah. You know, and so he's not alone. You know, when you're dealing with Philando Castile up there in Minnesota, what they do to him? They shot him 4 times right there, and his girl was on Instagram or Facebook Live, shot him in front of his girl and his daughter. He was a legal, licensed, registered firearm owner, notified the authorities that he had a weapon, and then you see what happened. But Eric Garner, Sean Bell, etc., the list goes on and on and on. You know, and it's not just the men, you know, but the men being targeted is actually scriptural. So when you look at the book of Exodus, the first chapter in particular, when you're dealing with Moses, Pharaoh didn't like the numbers of the Israelites that was inside of his country. So he called what the scripture said taskmasters to form a system to deliberately create hardship and difficulties for the children of Israel. Now, one of the ordinances was he told the people, destroy the man, kill the man, and let the women and children live. And so once we close the book and open our eyes, we see that they still carrying out that very same program. This Pharaoh represented the government. And so the destruction of the so-called black male of actual Moorish descent is actually a part of a plan that Jesus was born under the same decree. That's why him, Miriam, and Joseph had to flee from Judea and go to Egypt. And so when we see certain things being carried out in our eyes, we have to understand that it's prophetical. We are a covenanted people. See, Abraham made a covenant with Allah, and Allah told him that his descendants will be in a strange land, afflicted by a strange people for over 400 years. Who else on the planet fit that description but us? Right. And so the dilemmas that we face, we have to understand that God is in control. And as long as we depend on him, the problem today is that too many people's hearts are full of hate. When your heart is full of hate, then you can't gain the highest levels of spirituality. And so we have to learn to love instead of hate. Yeah. Love is the only thing that's going to ransom us and allow us to ransom our families. Yeah. You know, you better find something to love. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Hate is a wasted energy. Yeah. You see, it's a wasted energy. Yeah. All of the effort and time it takes to hate somebody, one person, you could have loved 20 people. Yeah. Love, see, is natural. Yeah. To hate, it takes a concentrated effort. You got to meditate upon what you think a person did wrong, etc. No, let them go to hell on their own. Just because that person going to hell, what, you going to accompany them? Based on what? No. And I heard somebody say, well, 2 wrongs don't make a right, but it make us even. I'd rather the odds be with the other person. You see what I'm saying? And I'm going to stand on what I know is right. And we have to stand on what is right. Ain't nothing wrong with loving your woman. Ain't nothing wrong with that woman loving that man. Ain't nothing wrong with loving your children. You see, and so what I realize is this, right? All of the stereotyping that's taking place against our people, the men and women. But if we just analyze our surroundings, every brother I know take good care of their children, make an effort, You know what I mean? And duty bound to the support of their family. All these sisters that I see are devout to their children, etc., working 1 job, 2 jobs, trying to make it. So where is this stereotype coming from where they try to paint us all? They want to paint our women as just some loose, loudmouth women.
Right.
You know what I mean? That don't want to do nothing but dance and sing and dress lewdly, but that's not the case. These sisters are out here trying to find a way. They duty bound to the household, etc. The men are more focused than what the news try to portray. I mean, if a person just watch the news, in between 6 and 8:30, they show our face, the so-called black man and woman of America. They show our face with every indecency known. They show us as the murderer, the robber, the kidnapper, the etc. You would think it wasn't no other nationalities of people in the United States. You would think ain't nobody committing crime or doing these types of things but us, but we represent about 17% of the population of the United States.
Yeah.
Guess who commits the most crime? Go look at the almanac. The European man commits 10 times more crime than the so-called black man, but the black man goes to prison at a rate of 10 times more than the European. It's just common math.
Yeah.
It's over 200 million of them.
Yeah.
So of course they commit more crime. But when it comes time to sit in front of that judge, you see, they got the complexion for the exception. We don't. They get probation. They're going to ship you, if you catch a state case, they're going to ship you to Northern Illinois if you from Southern Illinois. If you catch a Fed case, you're going to find yourself all over the country. You know, and so we have to become aware to the attempts and the attacks on our character. You see, because our children are on our back. You know, and we all close enough to the cat. They hook the GPS up to us. It'll say we right around the corner from a coffin. So everything that we do now has to be to try to create a different narrative, a different paradigm for our children to grow up in. You see what I'm saying? Because it's all about them babies, that next generation. And I'm not the only one that's aware. Look at our children. Look at our teenagers and younger. They are the next rulers of this planet. I mean, their minds are operating on a level that's at a higher frequency than what ours was at that same age. You see, so it's our duty to protect them. Well, how do we protect them? We protect them by being that example. We have to be a living example of what a woman is if you're a mother. We have to be a living example of what a father is if you're a father. You see, because forget what's coming out your mouth. The child is going to analyze your actions and activity. You know what I mean? So we have to become more serious, because I'm going to tell you something. A young goat is called a kid. And when it comes time to slaughter them, they pick a male goat to usher or guide the younger goats, the kids, into the slaughterhouse. And guess what they call the male goat that leads the smaller goats into the slaughterhouse? A Judas goat. And we know the role that Judas played in the life of Jesus. You see how he betrayed him. And so if we're not careful, then we're going to deliver our children right up in the slaughter. Off of them watching and seeing and hearing too much of what we doing. You know, so we just got to wake up, brother.
Now I got another touchy subject that a lot of people may not like, and you want to speak on it. What do you think about our first black president? You know, people loving that and being excited about that. You know, Mr. Barack Obama.
Barack Obama. Well, the first thing that I want to do, because to receive honors and not deserve them is worse than deserving them and not receiving them. So I want to take my hat off to him first for just trying. You know, I'll give him that. He tried. Right. Okay, be that as it may. That makes me remember a time where my dad and his wife came to visit me when I was incarcerated. And they was ecstatic about Barack Obama being selected. The main thing people got to understand first and foremost, presidents are selected, not elected. You know, the system will make you think your vote got something to do with it, but think about this. Why would I allow people who I consider bottom feeders, who don't have any corporate understanding, who don't have any international understanding, why would I let they vote determine who's going to be the head of my corporation? That would be the same as you go to McDonald's every day. And you think that because you go to McDonald's every day, that the corporation known as McDonald's is going to let you sit at a board meeting and make a decision, you see what I'm saying, over the next burger that they're going to choose. It don't go that way. Right. You see what I mean? Now, the event of Barack Obama was scriptural also, because everything ties into scripture. And so when I seen it, I said, wow, the scripture has come alive. Because Pharaoh whenever Moses, the Redeemer, challenged Pharaoh for his people, and he didn't come and say, let my people vote. Moses said, let my people go. But when he came to challenge Pharaoh, what did Pharaoh do? See, he didn't call his private police. He didn't call his military. He didn't call his army. He didn't call his hitmen. He called his magicians. Why would he call his magicians? Because he wanted his magicians to do something to overawe the people, to let them still be in his palm. And so, to me, the event of Barack Obama was Pharaoh's trick, was the magician's trick. And what I mean by that is this, right? When you're dealing with a magician, a sorcerer, a witch, a judge, they all in the same clique. You see, because they all wear black robes. They all have a chamber that they go into, a sorcerer's chamber, a witch's chamber, etc., magician's chamber, so that you won't know the trick that they about to display on the people. And they all have something else in common. They all carry the wand, and the wand is made out of a particle board called Hollywood. So you think Hollywood is just the name of a city in California. That's not so. Hollywood is a particle board that magicians' wands, witches' wands, sorcerers' wands was all made out of. You see what I'm saying? But the other person whose device is also made out of Hollywood is a judge. When you look at that particle board, what you call a gavel, you see what I'm saying? That's made out of Hollywood. And see, the thing about them, they could wave their wand and make something disappear. You see what I'm saying? So when I was in court, he waved his wand and made me disappear for 13 years. I hit the federal system and I was still under the sorcerer's spell. Couldn't believe I got all that time for 50 grams of crack. You know, 50 grams, that ain't enough dope to bread a chicken wing with. And now they've changed the law, so I'm warning you brothers. Even though they changed them laws, check it out. They'll find another way to get you the same amount of time. So now instead of exercising search warrants while you underneath the thresholds that trigger off mandatory minimums, they will wait until you cross that threshold, that new threshold. That's the only thing they're going to do. You see what I'm saying? So they'll wait till you cross that new threshold. Now you're looking at a mandatory minimum of 10 years. You see what I'm saying? So Barack Obama, that was just a trick. You see, and he was the most, Hollywood president ever. Who pushed him? Who supported him? All of Hollywood. You see what I'm saying? Every actor, etc., the Hollywood. And see, when you wave your magician's wand, a person to see in a cartoon, they see stars. Well, what do they call the people who work for Hollywood? Movie stars. You see what I'm saying? You go out there and get a star in the ground, etc., etc. So they call them stars because this is all just a part of this pharaohlistic government's magic show. You know, and this is why they pay them so much, because they deliver or alter the people's minds off of what they should be thinking about, and had them thinking about how many points LeBron got last night, had them thinking about who gonna win the Super Bowl, had them thinking about whether Beyonce got artificially inseminated or not, had them thinking about whatever these stars are doing, instead of paying attention to what Donald Trump is doing, instead of paying attention to the political structure, because these policies, you got to understand first the word politic. When you're dealing with etymology, the word poly means multiple. A tick is a bloodsucker. So when you unite them, you got multiple bloodsuckers. And they sucking the lifeblood out of the people in society with all their trickery and treachery. You see what I'm saying? And so, yeah, he didn't have a chance to change anything. He could promise you something. You see, but once he got in there and he seen how entrenched white supremacy was, then he realized that he was swimming upstream. You see what I'm saying? And so, I mean, hats off to him, but we can't think that the solution to our problems is going to come through European politics. See, that's like a person drinking some antifreeze, getting sick, and then drinking some more antifreeze to try to make themselves well. European politics is not the cure for our problems, it's the cause of it. All you got to do is Google Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3 of the United States Constitution, and that's their first order of business was dehumanizing us and placing us at the level of an animal. Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3 is what we, the Moors, call the 3/5 clause. And that's where they said that you're not even a man, you 3/5 of a man. Now, of course, they historians and they teachers are saying, no, that was just for voting purposes. No, it wasn't. Because anytime you consider me 3/5 a man, that's a mathematical number. If we 3/5, then what's the 2/5 that was removed? See, the 2/5 that was removed was our nationality and our divine creed. The divine creed is the religious beliefs of your ancestors. Absent of those, they say you're on the level of an animal. If you don't have a nationality or practice the religious creed of your ancestors, to them, you an animal. So I could buy, sell, trade you, whip you, own you, whatever you choose to do to your pit bull in your backyard, that's your property. You can do to them what you want. But my thing is this. They still claim to own us because the 14th Amendment made us corporate citizens, not first-class citizens. And a corporate citizen is a person that has a status inside of the corporation. The corporate United States of America, where the status of the so-called Negro, Black, and Colored, African American, and any other pseudonym that you want to choose, is that of property. They wrote us in as such. Those are what's called trademarks. So when you look at slave receipts, it'll have us listed as a Negro, Black, or Colored because these are property marks, trademarks. Yeah. It's the same as Frito-Lay. Frito-Lay owns the name Doritos, Cheetos, and Lay's. Yeah. These are trademarks. You see what I'm saying? So as long as we cling to these names, then we saying that we are indeed your property. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? And so it runs deep, you know, and these people, they duty bound. And ain't nothing wrong with them doing what they're doing for the security and maintenance of European affairs and how they situated in society. But there's nothing wrong with us thinking along the same lines. Right. You follow what I'm saying? Ain't nothing racist about a Mexican from Mexico. Ain't nothing racist about a person from France being for France. Ain't nothing racist about a Japanese person being for Japan. But they got us thinking that if we're thinking about unifying and forming our own nation again, they got us thinking that that's some kind of racist idea. You know, no, it's an inherent idea. Why aren't we thinking about that? How long do you hold the people captive before they stop understanding that they're captives and start accepting the situation as normal? Evidently 500 years, because we think this situation is normal. Ain't nothing normal about it when you got an entire nation of people that has to rely on an entire different nation of people for their jobs, for their housing, for their clothing, for their food, etc. Yeah. We were one with this earth, working it for them. We was growing all the crops, etc., 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 right? But now they turned us into a merchandising people. How did this happen? We don't know when to plant a seed or when to harvest it. You see, because it's deliberate. They don't want us having an understanding of the earth or what they call herbiculture. They don't want us having an understanding of botany, etc. They want us to rely on them for food. Well, if you're dependent on your enemy for food, what happens if you don't feel like feeding you? You see, what happens when he don't feel like feeding? And just because he feeding you don't mean he feeding you like he needs you. You see what I'm saying? You better check the labels. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? They feeding us so many genetically modified organic foods. I would like to see the list of the food producers and where they sending this genetically modified organic food. So you better believe it's centrally located, wherever we at. Yeah. You see what I mean? They eating and buying all organic, but they feeding you artificial food. And so you wonder why you're sick. You wonder why you don't feel good. You wonder why you're feeling lazy, why you're feeling down. It's because of what you put in your mouth. Because what you put in your mouth will lengthen your life, but what you put in your mouth will shorten your life. You see, and so this is what, if we understood half of the attempts and things that they are doing to try to destroy us or get us to destroy ourselves, then we would be dismayed. Yeah. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he said something that stuck with me. He said that our people can't fathom the mind of Satan. We don't think how they think. Case in point, we couldn't do to them out of revenge what they did to us for no reason at all. Yeah. Our hearts just don't beat like that. So if you look at a Tyler Perry movie, a Spike Lee movie, an Ice Cube movie, you're not going to see any similarity to Quentin Tarantino, Stephen King, etc. because their minds are different. They will think of the most wicked kind of show that you ever seen. How you jumping out because that's how they heart beat. But God gifted us with an element, a secret element called melanin. And this melanin makes us sway how we sway, gives us our coordination. It makes your heart pure. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? When your heart is pumping melanin through, it makes your heart pure. You see what I'm saying? But the lack of melanin, you see what I'm saying? You'll turn into a tiger with the lack of melanin. You see what I'm saying? And so the behavior that they're displaying, it's as much genetic, you see what I'm saying, as it is personal and emotional. Yeah. You know, so we just have to give to Caesar what's Caesar's. Yeah. That's their way. Yeah. That's not the way. Who said God favored integration? It ain't working, is it? Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. The income inequality gap was shortening before integration. You see what I mean? Mm-hmm. Our marriage levels was at an all-time high. Black business ownership was at an all-time high. Black factory ownership was at an all-time high. We were doing our thing because of segregation. We were forced to. But once integration came into the picture, we stopped spending our money with our own self and kind. Yeah. because we were taught by certain people that equal rights was us being able to spend our money with the European. So we'll go to the European's cafe and let him spit on us, pour hot coffee on us, humiliate us, degrade us, just to spend our money with him. That's not equal rights. Equal is you got a police department, we got a police department. Equal is you got a military, we got a military. You got a hospital, we got a hospital. You got schools, we got schools. That's equal.
Right.
This is a bunch of garbage.
Yeah.
But we trying to force our way into another person's system that don't care about us. And since I'm speaking on that level, let me say this. If they happened, which they did, to squander off all of the wealth that they acquired, think about this. They worked us for free for almost 500 years and then, excuse my language, effed up the money. And now they got us, because we so naive, they got us helping them pay off the debt. Y'all done messed the money up that y'all got off of our ancestors' blood, sweat, and tears, and now you expect us, you see what I'm saying, to be taxed right along with you to pay the debt off. This is how little they think of us. You see, they think so little of you that even though they've committed all the atrocities against us that they have, they still tell you, you better stand up for my national anthem. Who do that? What self-respecting Asiatic will stand up for their national anthem? They don't ask a Jew to stand up for the Germans' national anthem, nor will they. You see, because any self-respecting person, you see what I'm saying, is not going to stand up and give an anthem or a pledge allegiance to a system that has decimated their people, that are still at this present hour creating tasks and difficulties for us to grow up under. You see what I'm saying?
Now,
so we gotta wake up, man.
Now, my last question.
Okay.
Now I know this is gonna get wicked for a lot of people. A lot of people ain't gonna like it.
Okay.
The new president.
Oh, I'm glad he there.
The new president. Why is
Donald Trump. I'm glad he there.
Really?
Yeah. The reason why I'm glad that Donald Trump is there, because it forces our people to stop relying on European politics as an answer to our problems.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
Because with Barack Obama, it delivered us up false hopes. And we began to think that, we could change something through their political structure. You believing in the biggest liar on the planet, the most notorious known liar on the planet, to give you an election result. You see what I'm saying? I don't care what the papers say. Put that in my back pocket. The winner was him. This is how come we can't win Dancing with the Stars. We can't win The Voice. We can't win nothing no more because the open enemy is telling you who won. You see what I'm saying? And so we're not going to be able to change our situation through their political system. We have to take our claims into the international courts, because what they're guilty of is not just human rights. It's not just civil rights. They violating our human rights. You see what I mean? And that's the reality of the situation. And so the courts of America is not going to bring about the change. The international community. And they waiting. They just waiting. You see what I'm saying? But if we not making an attempt towards them, and every time they see us, we're in the capacity of attack dog for the United States. Case in point, the Emperor of Japan, when he preemptively attacked the United States of America, he based it off of their mistreatment of the so-called Negro of America. What did we do in return? We joined the Europeans' army and escorted his bombers over Japan. And then when we got back from destroying Japan, how did